Hello, greetings from sunny and beautiful California. My name is Lisa Montanaro and I am so thrilled to be one of your speakers for the Brazilian conference. And I'm going to be sharing with you today some tips, tricks, strategies, and tools to be a successful business owner, and specifically to be a successful professional organizer. So what we're going to do is talk about the 6 pillars of powerhouse success. And I'm going to go through each pillar one at a time. And what I'd like you to do under each pillar is think about, am I doing this now in my business? What do I need to change for the future? And maybe write down some specific goals under each one of the pillars so that you can build the business for the future that you desire. So our overarching theme today, our big theme, is dream big, stake your claim, go out there and take what you want, and then create the future you desire. So without further ado, let's go over the 6 pillars. So pillar number 1 is purpose. You can't run a successful business if you don't know what your purpose is. And what we're going to look at under purpose are a few different things. The first one is, I want you to think about what is your definition of success. And as many of you as there are out there, that will be how many different definitions we have. So for example, someone might say, well, my definition of being a successful business owner or being a successful professional organizer is to make money. And by the way, that's good. Money is good. But as Henry Ford said a long time ago, a business that makes only money is poor indeed. And I think that's very easy for a man to say that was a billionaire way back when. But he makes a good point that if you're only in this to make money, you might not love it. You might not enjoy it. I think a lot of professional organizers have a definition of success to help people. I think they go into this because it's a service-based profession and they want to help others. And again, that's wonderful because being able to help people is great. But being able to help people and make money is even better. So for those of you that have a double definition of success where you think, I want to help people, I'm really passionate about organizing, I love to go in and make the kitchen perfect and get all the papers together, that's great. But if you do that and you don't make any money, that is a hobby. That is not what we're talking about today. Doing that and making money and being profitable is a business. So think about, what is your definition of success? Some other people say that, Lisa, to be successful as a business owner, I want freedom and flexibility. And so let's think about that for a minute. How many of you out there had a job, any type of job, working for someone else? I was an attorney for years, and if you know anything about the law in America, and it's probably the same in Brazil, they work really, really hard. So there were nights when I was sleeping under my desk and working, 100 hours a week, and I didn't like that very much. But I went into the law thinking I was going to help people, and unfortunately, after a few years, I realized that what people did in the law was fight. So I started thinking in 2002, after the 9/11 tragedy in New York City, what do I want to do with my career? And I decided that to be successful, I would help people, make money doing it, but I would be self-employed. So I would have no boss but me. And one of the things to think about as a successful business owner is you get to call the shots, as we say in America. And what I mean by that is you get to choose who you want to work with, when you want to work, what type of organizing you want to do, where you want to work. And so you really control everything. And I want you to really give this some thought. For those of you that are new in the industry, make the business what you want it to be. Like write out the perfect business would include this, 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 and this. And I'm not saying that you'll create all of those, but if you don't reach for the stars, if you don't actually dream that big, then you may not reach any of those. So think about, what would a successful business look like to me? And it doesn't have to be to make $1 million or to write a book or to be on television. It could be having the time to work only a 4-day work week and maybe pick up your son from the soccer game on a Friday afternoon, or to see your spouse and go out to dinner, or to continue to have time to exercise and go to yoga or Zumba or whatever you do there. I love Zumba, by the way. So think about, what does it mean to be successful? And hold that definition of success as we keep talking today, because it's really important to think about that. When you are thinking about your purpose for your business, I want you to think about two things that can happen, and they happen often to business owners here in America, and I guarantee you they're happening around the world. So one of them is called the comparison trap, and that's where you look out at everyone else. And I want you to sit down in your seat right now if you're sitting or if you're standing. I want you to look at the organizer next to you, to the left and to the right. And I want you to realize that that could be a very successful organizer and you can be happy for him or her, but that doesn't take away from your own success. And so if you're looking at everyone else and you're thinking, oh no, I'm never going to be successful because she's already doing a blog and he's doing media and she wrote a book and she has clients in the high end of town, and then if you're looking out at everyone else and thinking you don't measure up, that's not a good thing to have in your bag of tricks. It's not a good feeling. So think about the comparison trap syndrome and tell yourself, I'm not going to get stuck in that trap. And the best way to deal with that is what we're going to do next, which is the next pillar, which is called promote. And we're going to do some branding exercises so that you could think about what makes you unique. So if I picked up the phone to call you and you said, hello, I'm organizer so-and-so. My name, let's say, hi, I'm Lisa, professional organizer. What would make you unique? Why would I want to hire you, and you in particular, and having nothing to do with anyone else in the room? And that's not because they're horrible and you're wonderful. They could all be wonderful, but there's something that makes you unique. And so I want you to think about, when you're thinking about your purpose, what type of message do you want to send to your client? And don't fall into the comparison trap. And women, by the way, do this a lot more than men. So women tend to compare themselves about everything, unfortunately. Their clothes, their image, their attractiveness, their parenting skills. Women really can be hard on themselves and hard on each other. So women out there, treat each other like sisters and be good to each other. And men tend to compare themselves more on what I'm going to call status conscious things like money and cars, and their title and whether they got a promotion. And so both genders are doing it, but if you're doing it, please remind yourself that there's something that makes you unique and that'll attract your clients who are supposed to work with you, and don't worry about what everyone else is doing. The second sort of trap that can get in the way of you really expressing your purpose is called the bright shiny object syndrome. So think about a baby, when you have a little baby and you dangle a set of keys and the baby goes, and like follows the keys. That's what a lot of business owners look like today. They're like blogging and social media and Facebook and video recordings and webinars, and your head is spinning and you're thinking you need to do it all. Stop. You do not need to do it all. You need to do what's good for you and matches your business and your skills and, again, what you're good at. So if you don't like professional speaking, don't do this. Maybe do something else. Maybe you love writing, so maybe you do become a blogger. Maybe what you're really good at is recommending products to your clients. So you go online and look at different organizing products. Maybe what you're really great at is some other type of system. But don't think that you need to do it all. And so if you find yourself like that baby, like following those keys around, and you feel yourself with your head spinning, then please pull back and remind yourself, what do I love? What do I love in the industry? What do I love in the business? And I don't want you to get overwhelmed and think you have to try everything. One thing that I think has helped me over the 13 years that I've run this organizing business is that I take ideas, even if they're really great, and I park them somewhere. So I say, that's a great idea. I'll put it in my idea folder, or put it on Evernote or Dropbox or whatever system you're using, or just open up a document and make a list of great ideas for the future. But I don't think I have to do them all now. So some of them go on your 1-year plan, some of them go on your 5-year plan, and some of them are like, maybe I'll try this someday. But you can also say, I'm never going to try this. Like, this is just not something I'm going to try. So an exercise that I'd like you to think about is called the absolute yes list and the just say no list. So you just put a line down the middle of the page and you write on one side yes, and on the other side you write no. And every time something comes into your business, you filter it and you send it to the yes or the no. And you say, yes, I want to do this in my business. No. So an example is in America we have a group of target market or clients called hoarders, and you've probably seen the television shows. And I don't think they're limited to America, but I think we probably have the worst clutter problem here in America. We have too much stuff. You know, garages are filled with the junk, and people's, you know, cars are out in the street. So I think as Americans, we tend to overbuy and we have too much stuff. And so we have these hoarders, for example. Well, when I was organizing homes, I never worked with hoarders. That was on my no list. I had no interest in working with hoarders. I wasn't qualified to do it. I never took any classes in it. So that was an easy no for me, whereas I said yes to working with paper clutter, because I love to organize paper. I said yes to time management. So think about, what do you want to say yes to and what do you want to say no to? And so all of these exercises are to help you define your purpose. So that's the first pillar. We're now going to move on to the second pillar, which is promote. And promote is all about the branding and the networking and the marketing. Promote is you stepping into your power and, you know, getting out there and working with your clients. And what I tell my clients is, don't be the best kept secret. So if no one knows you're an organizer, you could be the best organizer ever, but you won't get any work. So think about, how are you going to step into your power, and how are you going to share your skills with the world and let them know what you do? So I want you to think about doing an exercise for me. It's called the 5 words branding exercise. And think about, what are 5 words that define who you are and what you bring to your business? And if you saw the movie or read the book Eat, Pray, Love, which was very popular a few years ago, there was this idea in the book where she would come up with 1 word for each place she visited, and that became the name of the book, Eat, Pray, Love. So she had 3 words. As a person, I think it's really difficult to come up with 1 word. Like, I can't think of 1 word to describe me as a brand, but 5 words can work well. So first think about, what do you think your words are? And then start asking people. Ask your good friends, your family, ask some of your best clients. So you might want to say, hey, you've been working with me as your organizer. What are some words that you think describe my brand? And see what they say. It's really sort of fascinating. By the way, I wouldn't ask anyone that doesn't like you. I wouldn't ask someone that, you know, you don't think is going to give you a good answer. You can also read your testimonials. You can go back, if you had a job a long time ago, you can go back and look at your job evaluations, for example, and see what your boss wrote about you. And the idea is to come up with 5 words that describe you as a brand. So for example, my 5 words that describe me as a brand are professional, intelligent, warm, sassy, and ultra efficient. And yes, I did use a compound word, ultra efficient. It's sort of a double word because I'm really efficient. And so those are my words, but think about, what would your words be? And those 5 words play into your business brand. So for example, since those are my words, I might want to say something like, you know, here at Lisa Montanaro Global Enterprises, we remain intellectually curious about everything, and we offer you a professional service. So in other words, your words can actually play into your language on your website. You can use them as a slogan on your business card. You can put them on your blog. And so the 5 words branding exercise can show up in your branding externally to the world, or they could just be for you so that you know what your brand is. Another interesting thing to think about with promote is, this is how you touch the world. So what are your visual brand? What are your colors for your business? That's a big thing. People go, oh, you know, I have to pick my colors for my website and my business card. And so think about different colors. So if your colors are green, that's fresh and earthy. And those are particular colors that people think of, particular things that people think of when they look at green. If you look at blue, it's soothing, it's professional, it's very neutral. My color is red, so I drive a red car. I have a red iPhone cover, a red iPad cover. When I go to an expo, I have a red tablecloth. My business cards have red on them. My website, if you go to it, has red on it. And red is very passionate. I'm Italian, so I'm very passionate. So it's very passionate, it's very heart-driven. It actually, supposedly, when you look at red, speeds up your heart rate. And so it's exciting, it's motivating, it's inspirational, and that's how I want my clients to feel. But that may not be the brand for everyone. For some of you, you may be the type of organizer that goes to a client and holds their hand and they're crying over their clutter, and you're saying to them, don't worry, I've got this, it's okay, I'll help you. Well, that might be, maybe you need a yellow color or a cream or a light blue, but red would not do it. So really think about, what is my color? So that's visual. And then also in visual is how you show up, how you look. So, what clothes are you wearing to walk to a networking event? And hi, my name is Susan. Hi, my name is Tom. Do you wear a suit? Are you cool and funky and you wear black nail polish? And what's your visual brand as a person? Do you love to wear a pair of jeans and a black t-shirt like the Silicon Valley Apple guys do that do all the technology? So what is your brand visually? And really think about that. I used to wear nicer clothes for a consultation, and then when I would go to the house and organize, I wore work clothes. And I would tell the clients that I'd say, so just so you know, when I come back to work, I will be in my working clothes. I'll be in my, either jeans or some type of really comfortable pants. I'll have closed-toe shoes because I don't want to trip over anything. And I would let them know that so that when I came back to do the work, they didn't look at me and go, wow, she looked really good in the consultation and now she doesn't look so good. So I kind of let them know that in advance because that's part of my visual brand. Some organizers wear really cool t-shirts. It'll say, Organizing Inc. on it. And that's really nice also as a brand if you wanted to do something like that. Another thing to think about with your brand is auditory. So what are the actual words you're using? When people are listening to you talk about your business, how do you describe it? What does it say on your website? What are the words you're using in the language? There's a phrase that we use in America called the elevator pitch, and that's when you go to an event and you say, hi, my name is Lisa, and I help people get back their time and be able to find the things they want so they could go enjoy their lives and enjoy their home again. And that would be an example of an elevator pitch for an organizer who helps people at home. And so think about the language you're using in your elevator pitch also. And then another thing to think about is print. So what do your business cards look like? What does your brochure look like if you have it? What does your website look like? And all the different things that you put in print. And so your branding is your color, your 5 words that describe you, your print products, everything that you're handing. Let's say you do an ebook, what does that look like? And your branding is everything else that people hear about you or read about you. So they all play into it. So let's just say now you know your brand and you're ready to go out there and work. You're like, I got it. This is my brand. My business cards are done. My website's done. My brochure is done. And I know what I'm going to say at a networking event. Now you go out there. Who are you going to work with? So we call this your target market or your ideal client. And you don't work with everyone, trust me. You may think you're like, everyone needs to get organized. Not exactly. So think about, do you want to work with children, like students? Do you want to work with seniors, people that maybe are moving out of their home and into, and it's funny, I don't even know if you have this in Brazil, but in America, unfortunately, we don't take care of our elderly. We put them in homes, like assisted living or nursing homes. There are some families that keep the elderly senior person with them in the home, but unfortunately, by and large, they send them away, which is so sad now that I think about it. But think about who do you want to work with. Do you want to work with executives or professionals? Do you want to only go to homes and organize, or do you want to go to businesses? I'll tell you, there's a lot of money working with businesses, but that may not be your passion. It may not be your purpose. So think about who is my target market, and that's who you speak to in your branding. So if you know you're going to work with students, then your language may be more at a level that students would understand. You would talk about things like school and homework. You would never do that if you were going to work with professionals, for example, or executives. So you really need to know who your target market is before you get out there and you start marketing yourself and exuding yourself and exhibiting yourself and any other word you could think of. And another thing to think about with promote is what we call your unique selling proposition. So that's where we decide what makes you unique. And every one of you is different. And so one of you may have a background as an architect. So if you have a background as an architect and you're an organizer, space planning is going to be really easy for you. And you could walk into a room and see magically how to piece that room together and all the furniture in it. Whereas maybe someone has a background as an administrative assistant. And so they're really good at time management and scheduling and paper. And so everyone has a different unique selling proposition. Maybe you have 5 children and you maintain a really great household at home personally, and so you want to work with busy moms because that's what you're really good at. So for all of you, I'd like you to write down my unique selling proposition is, and I want you to fill it in with what is your background, your education, any training that you've had, life experiences. Think about all the things that you would throw on a resume, and also volunteer activities. All of that goes into your USP, your unique selling proposition, and that's what makes you uniquely you. And when you have that down, it makes marketing so much easier. Because if I go to your website and I look at 15 other organizers, but I see on your website something really specific and it attracts me to you because it's something I need, then I would just call you. So don't be afraid to be yourself and in your promoting. The next pillar is called process. And process is basically your operations. It's how do you run your business, the back-end operations. So the idea is that we go out here, we work with our clients, it's really fun. Branding is fun, I get that. You get cool signs for your car and you have your little cute business cards. But now you're working and hopefully you're making some money. And the idea of process is, okay, who's gonna run the business? Well, you are. So think about, the different hats that it takes to run a business. And there is a famous book by Michael Gerber, if you want to look it up, Gerber, and it's called The E-Myth Revisited. Little blue book. It's probably online. And the idea is that many business owners look like they're wearing all these hats. Like they're wearing, all these hats piled on top of each other. And that's probably true, that we're doing a lot of things. But I want to talk to you about the 3 hats of an entrepreneur. And I want you to think about which ones you do well. And the ones you don't do well, you either get help or you get someone else to do. You hire like a virtual assistant or a bookkeeper or another organizer, for example. So the 3 hats are the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. And the entrepreneur goes to like a networking event. And they're the ones that are looking forward, like where's the business coming from, introducing themselves to people. They're doing sales, they're branding, they're networking. So they're sort of the face of the business, and they're constantly looking at the future. Where is my next client coming from? What's on the horizon? Will I start blogging next year? So they're sort of the innovator, they're strategizing, everything is looking forward. The technician is the worker bee. The technician is bending under the bed to get out the bins and standing there going through the papers with the client. And so the technician is actually the one that's doing all the work. I'll be honest with you that most people start a business to be the technician. That's actually, oh, I love decorating homes, I'll become an interior decorator. Oh, I love organizing, I'll become an organizer. Oh, I'm really good at making jewelry, I'll become a jewelry maker. I love baking cakes, I'll open a bakery. And here's what's not good about that. It's great that you're good at your technician skills, but you still have to do the role of the entrepreneur. You have to go out and sell and market. And you still have to do the role of the manager, which I'll explain to you in a minute, is tracking all the finances, invoicing, bookkeeping, contacting clients. So think of the manager as the administrative assistant of your business. And in the beginning, it's you. You're doing it all. So you put on your little hat, the entrepreneur hat, and you go to a networking event. Hi, I'm Lisa. And you talk about what you do with your business, and you sell and you market. Then they hire you, you go to their house and you're organizing, you're going through the bins, right? And now you're the technician. You have to go home after that organizing session and you have to sit down at your computer and you have to invoice the client if you didn't get paid on site. You have to track all your finances. Maybe you're using QuickBooks or Excel. You have to track everything, and that's what the manager does. You also have to email your clients to keep in touch with them. So out of those 3 things, the entrepreneur, the technician, and the manager, first of all, I want you to think right now to yourself, take a second, which one am I really good at? And I guarantee you that at least 50% of you will say, I'm really good at being the technician. I'm really good at organizing, and that's why I started the business. And you would not be alone if you said that. The majority of people start a business to be a technician. Which one do you think people struggle with the most? And if you answered the manager, you're right. So some people really enjoy the networking, branding, thinking about the future of the business, as well as they like the technician, but a lot of people hate running the business in the back end. If you like running the business in the back end, that's great. But if you don't like it, then I would recommend you delegate or outsource that part of the business. So one of the first people you can hire would be a bookkeeper. And they put in all the invoicing and put in all the numbers of your business. Another person that you can think about using for your business is what we call a virtual assistant. They're very popular now. You can find them online. You can look for a virtual assistant through the International Virtual Assistant Association. There's lots of other websites you can go to, and that person can help you manage the business. And you don't have to pay them full-time, and they're not even an employee. You just use them when you need them. But that would give you an idea of getting some help in your business. Some of you, I know because I've talked to some of you, actually have organizers that work for you. Bravo, good for you. So you have a team, we call it here in America. And you may have organizers that you only call when you need them. You know, hey, I have a big project next week. I need 2 organizers. Can you come help me? Some of you may partner up all the time and maybe become a business partnership. So that's another example of getting help in your business. You don't have to do it all alone, for example. Another area of process is to think about letting go to grow. So I don't know if any of you are like me, but I mentioned I'm an attorney and I don't practice law anymore. And for years, I was really holding on to my business really tightly. You could argue that I was maybe strangling my business because I was like, this is my baby, it's my business. I don't want to have anyone else help me with it. And if you're like me, then I would give you a good lesson learned, is I waited too long to get help. And I was doing it all myself and probably working too much. And remember what I said much earlier on, is when you own your own business, you're your own boss. So if you're your own boss, why would you not give yourself a day off? Why would you work yourself so hard? So my mantra became let go to grow. And every time I let go and I got help in my business grew. I made more money. I had more time freed up to do things I wanted to do that were on my yes list. So if you're really holding back, I would like to encourage you to let go a little bit. The next pillar is productivity. And I know you're probably thinking, why am I mentioning productivity to you if you're an organizer? Well, a dirty little secret is that not all professional organizers are productivity experts. So a lot of organizers are really good at the spatial, they're really good at the stuff. So they can organize things, but they can't organize time and projects and tasks and their own businesses. If you went like, does anyone remember The Wizard of Oz? Like if you open the curtain and you look, you're like, the business is a mess. So what I want you to think about with productivity is you need to make sure that your own business is being run well and is productive. So come up with templates and systems. And so if you email a client and you write up the email and you think, wow, that sounds really good, make that an email template and use it again and again and put it in a document called Policies and Procedures or Operations Manual. And so think about, what could I do to run my business better and be more productive? Another thing to think about with productivity is life-work balance. So if you are working too much, I would like you to map out your time on a calendar and say, I'm going to take clients these hours. So maybe, Monday through Thursday, Monday through Friday, certain hours, and I'm going to give myself time off. One suggestion would be every week, I would like you to schedule in administrative time or management time when you're not working with clients, but you're back in your office working. So people say to me like, Lisa, how do you have time to blog and go on to television and do radio shows and, media and, business travel? And it's because I'm really good at time management. And we have a phrase, anyone remember the shoemaker's shoe syndrome? So the shoemaker's shoe syndrome is when everyone else's shoes look great, but the shoemaker's kids' shoes had holes in them. And so if you're really good to all your clients and you help them, but your life is a mess, then you need to work on that. And so I feel bad sometimes saying that to organizers because, they think, well, of course, everyone's, we're organizers, everyone's productive, and that's not actually necessarily true. Not all organizers are productive. The next pillar is prosper. And there was a famous movie years ago called Jerry Maguire, and the Cuba Gooding Jr. character was screaming at Jerry, who is played by Tom Cruise, and he was like, show me the money, right? That's this pillar. Prosper is where I want you to think about the money. And this is where people actually get really uncomfortable. A lot of people don't talk money. It's just, in a lot of societies, it's not something you talk about. I can talk about money. So what I want you to think about is, it is actually not what you make in your business, it's what you keep. So you could make a lot of money. Let's say you're making $100,000 a year, but if it costs you $70,000 a year to run your business, you're bleeding out too much money. You're spending too much money. So come up with a system. QuickBooks, Excel, Quicken, Money, which is another one, mint.com. FreshBooks is a new one, freshbooks.com. You can look these up. Think about coming up with a system to track your money. Because if you don't track your money, then you don't know what you're spending and you don't know what you're making. So I actually use Excel. It's very basic. I come home, from an organizing client, and I put in how much they paid me for the session, how many miles I drove, whether I spent any supplies. It's very easy, it's very simple, and it gives me a wonderful snapshot all the time of my numbers in my business. If some of you grew up not tracking money, like maybe your family did everything for you, and you didn't have to worry about money, good for you. But now, you have to get control of your finances. This is your business. So think about what you want to make in your business. So we are in, let's say, the middle of the year now. But whenever it is, just think about what would I like to make for the next 12 months. And I actually want you to either write that money down right now. So write down, I call it your bold money goal. So write down right now what you'd like to make in your business for the next 12 months. Or if you don't have a pen and paper, just think about it in your head. But don't make it like a tiny bit more than what you made last year. I want you to think big. And the reason is, if you think small, you'll probably act small. But if you think, I'm going to make this much next year, then you're sort of sending that out into the universe. I want to make this much. And it really helps the universe listen to you. Another thing is, don't price yourself too low. So as an industry, organizers tend to price their services really low. Now, I don't know what the market is like in Brazil for professional organizers, but you are a professional service and you are doing something really important. You are changing people's lives. You are helping them get organized, freeing up their time to spend with their family, maybe freeing up their time so they could work more and make more money for their family. But what you're doing is important service. And so think about not charging too little. If you charge so little that at the end of the day, you go home to your office and you feel taken advantage of and you feel like you're exhausted and it's not worth it to be doing this business, then I would like you to charge more. And so whatever you're charging, think about, is it enough? And I'm not saying to make your prices so high that people can't afford you and the phone doesn't ring. That would not be a good thing. But think about, am I charging enough? The last pillar is actually passion. And I mentioned to you earlier, I'm Italian and I'm very passionate. And the last pillar is one that I think is really interesting. So picture you have this business, maybe you've had this business for a few years and it's solid and you have clients and you're making good money. And now you're thinking, there's some really cool things I want to do with this business. So the last pillar is where you bring in the fun. So, do you love travel? Could you travel and organize people in other locations? So could you travel throughout Central America, South America, Latin America? Could you travel to the States and take on an organizing project for a week or so? Could you do virtual organizing by Skype? Which means you could work with people anywhere in the world, which is pretty awesome. So could you get on a video conference and help someone with their time management or their paper? Or could they walk you around their house with a video camera and show you the problems and you give them advice over the video? So think about, under passion, all those things that I told you to put on your long-term list. Maybe you want to write a book. Maybe you want to start a video series and you do videos about how to organize and you put them on your YouTube channel. So think about passion being to bring in the fun. Another thing to think about with the passion is, what do you need to say no to? So sometimes in business, we just keep saying yes, yeah, oh yes, I'll do that, oh yes, I'll do that. And maybe it's 3 or 4 years into your business and you realize, I don't like doing that. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to organize people's kitchens. I'm sick of that. Or, one of my organizer clients said to me recently, she said, I am so sick of bending all over the house and lifting boxes. She said, I'm really good at organizing, like, in my brain. Like, I can explain things to people, but I don't want to be the one doing it anymore. And I said, so now you're an organizational consultant. So you don't go in and touch the stuff. You tell the clients how to touch the stuff. You say, here's my advice for this section in the playroom. Here's what you do. Draw it out, map it out for them, give them an action plan, and they do it. So passion is where you start to build the business that you really want to build and have some fun. I love to travel. So I get clients in other locations. I get speaking engagements in other locations. I may be coming to Brazil next year, so you may meet me in person. And so again, if you like to travel, could you do some speaking engagements in other locations? I don't really care what you put under your passion. It doesn't have to be what I'm passionate about. It has to be what you're passionate about. But that is where you start to, bring in the fun. I like to call it becoming a passionista. So, think about that. How could you become a passionista? So we've talked today about 6 pillars: purpose, promote, process, productivity, prosper, and passion. And so think about under each of these pillars, what will you change? What will you do? How will you make your business better? How will you love it? Build the business that you want. And when we started today, I mentioned to you, we're in the dark now, this is fun. I mentioned to you that you should dream big and stake your claim and create the future you desire. And that's what I want you to go out and do. So ciao. So we covered a lot of ground. We covered the entire 6 pillars. So they are, again, purpose, promote, process, productivity, prosper, and passion. And what I want you to think about under each one is, what do I love? What do I want for my business? In each of these areas, what makes me unique, and how will I take these areas of my business and bring them out into the world? And so remember, what I want you to do is dream big, stake your claim, and then create the future you desire. So go out and change the world. I know you can. Ciao.